Elliot Anderson completes a £116 million move to Manchester City, but his Manchester message changes the power fight. Arsenal have added Christos Tzolis, while Bruno Guimaraes' interest remains unconfirmed. Leeds are talking for James Trafford. First, Elliot Anderson's reported £116 million move to Manchester City changes the Manchester balance. We start with the one headline that doesn't need a detective board covered in red string. Manchester City have made the biggest statement, and Elliot Anderson has added a little Manchester spice. Elliot Anderson completes £116 million move to Manchester City. The fee is reported at £116 million, not officially disclosed, so the number needs a small asterisk beside it. The serious point is City's midfield planning and the message Anderson's arrival sends across Manchester. Calling City the Kings of Manchester turns a major signing into instant local ammunition. The risk is obvious. A record price can make every quiet performance look like a crisis. Manchester City have confirmed Elliot Anderson's arrival from Nottingham Forest on a 5-year deal. The reported fee is £116 million, although that figure hasn't been officially disclosed, which means we shouldn't treat a media number like a stamped invoice. Still, even with that caution, this is a massive commitment for Manchester City. Anderson's arrival is about midfield control as much as transfer market theater. City have brought in a player they believe can grow into a central role, and the 5-year contract gives the club time to develop that investment rather than demanding instant perfection every weekend. That's the sensible reading. Then came the line that will keep Manchester United supporters busy. Anderson called Manchester City the Kings of Manchester. Subtle? Absolutely not. But footballers don't usually walk into a new city and accidentally hand the other half of town a billboard. The rivalry has been fed. The debate now is whether £116 million reflects elite potential or market inflation. Both ideas can be true. City have paid for talent, projection, and bragging rights, while Anderson has stepped into a squad where every midfield minute will be judged against the price tag. This isn't a quiet rebuild, it's a power move with a 5-year receipt. Manchester City have made the loudest move, but Arsenal have answered with a forward design to give their attack more options. The important question isn't whether Christos Tzolis sounds exciting, it's where those options actually appear. Arsenal signed Greece forward Christos Tzolis from Club Brugge. Tzolis gives Arsenal versatility, but versatility doesn't guarantee a starting place. The reported £34 million fee suggests Arsenal see useful attacking value rather than a ceremonial squad addition. Supporters are right to ask whether he replaces departed wide output or simply adds another rotation piece. A title prediction based on one signing would be pure transfer window sugar. Arsenal have signed Greece forward Christos Tzolis from Club Brugge for a reported £34 million. Tzolis is a Greece international and has been described as an extremely versatile attacking player, which matters for a squad reshuffling its wide options. That versatility could help Arsenal change the shape of an attack without making a substitution every time the game demands something different. He can give the manager another route into the final third, another player who can move across the front line, and another selection problem for defenders. But let's keep the claims under control. Arsenal haven't announced a guaranteed starting role, and this signing doesn't prove a title win is waiting around the corner. The real test is whether Tzolis can turn flexible positioning into consistent end product once the matches become tight and predictable. At £34 million, the pressure will be real. Arsenal supporters aren't only buying a name, they're buying the hope that departed wide output won't leave a hole. Tzolis has to fill minutes first, then expectations. Tzolis is confirmed, but Arsenal's next headline is much less secure. Bruno Guimaraes remains Newcastle United's captain, and the difference between interest and an offer is doing a lot of work here. Arsenal reportedly interested in Newcastle captain Bruno Guimaraes. The easy headline is a £70 million Arsenal bid, but the supplied evidence doesn't substantiate that claim. Guimaraes is still a Newcastle United player, so any Arsenal move would require serious negotiation rather than social media momentum. Arsenal's interest makes football sense, but sense isn't the same thing as an agreement. Newcastle benefit from every exaggerated report that makes their captain look expensive and indispensable. The supplied evidence doesn't support saying Arsenal have made or are preparing a £70 million bid for Bruno Guimaraes. It also doesn't support an agreement, accepted offer, or personal terms. What we can say is simpler. Arsenal have been linked with interest in the Newcastle United captain, while Guimaraes remains at Newcastle United. That distinction matters because Guimaraes is exactly the type of midfielder Arsenal supporters would want. He brings authority, technical quality, and the status of a player who already carries responsibility at a major Premier League club. But Newcastle United own the contract situation, and Arsenal can't negotiate with a rumor. Fans are split between wanting an elite midfielder and resisting the premium attached to buying from a domestic rival. Fair enough, a big fee can improve a squad, but it can also turn one player into the explanation for every midfield problem. Guimaraes hasn't agreed to move, and Newcastle haven't accepted anything. Arsenal's Bruno Guimaraes story shows why status matters. Leeds and Manchester City are at least in actual discussions over James Trafford, but talks still aren't a completed transfer. Leeds in talks to sign Manchester City goalkeeper James Trafford. The development is real while the final destination and deal structure remain open. Leeds are looking at Trafford as a possible answer in goal, but no immediate number one role has been confirmed. Manchester City may have flexibility over the arrangement, yet no fee or permanent move is reported. The next meaningful update is agreement, not another optimistic headline. Leeds United are in discussions with Manchester City over goalkeeper James Trafford. Trafford is a Manchester City goalkeeper, and the supplied evidence doesn't report a fee, a medical, or a completed deal. So Leeds supporters can be interested without pretending the signing is already done. For Leeds, the attraction is clear enough. A goalkeeper move can shape the entire rhythm of a returning side. A club can spend weeks discussing attacking names, then discover that one decision at the back determines whether pressure becomes control or panic. The unknowns matter. We don't know whether the proposed move would be permanent, and we don't know the financial terms. That leaves plenty of room for negotiation, which is football's polite word for several people disagreeing over money while smiling for cameras. Trafford is still with Manchester City. Leeds are still in talks. That is the story, and it is already useful without adding a fictional medical or a fee. Leeds have a live negotiation. Manchester United have a more ambitious possibility, and Eduardo Camavinga is precisely the kind of name that can make a midfield plan look better before a single offer exists. Manchester United consider Eduardo Camavinga as midfield target. Camavinga would address ball progression and defensive coverage, but Manchester United haven't turned interest into a deal. Real Madrid may listen to offers between 50 million and 60 million euro, though that isn't a confirmed valuation. The biggest obstacle may be the player's preference to stay at Real Madrid. A glamorous target can't hide the need for a coherent midfield structure. Manchester United have identified Real Madrid midfielder Eduardo Camavinga as a potential midfield signing. Camavinga remains a Real Madrid player, and no bid, agreement, or personal terms are reported. That makes this an interest story, not an imminent transfer story. The football logic is strong. Camavinga can help carry the ball through pressure and cover ground defensively, which would give Manchester United a more secure platform in matches where their midfield gets stretched. That sounds like a solution, but tactical fit only matters if the player is actually available and willing to move. Real Madrid may listen to offers of 50 million to 60 million euros according to the supplied reporting, while Camavinga is believed to favor staying at Real Madrid. There it is, the price may be negotiable, but the player's preference could be the harder barrier. The biggest question still coming is whether Italy can actually land Guardiola or Ancelotti. Camavinga's story is about a move that may never reach the bidding stage. Alejandro Garnacho's move has happened, but the permanent part still depends on conditions we haven't been giving. Alejandro Garnacho joins Aston Villa on loan from Chelsea with conditional obligation to buy. Garnacho has joined Aston Villa on a season-long loan from Chelsea, so Manchester United are no longer his current club. The conditional obligation to buy creates a possible permanent future, not a completed permanent transfer. Aston Villa get a high-profile reset after Morgan Rogers moved to Chelsea, while Chelsea get Garnacho into a new environment. The missing conditions are the entire suspense of the deal. Aston Villa have signed Alejandro Garnacho on a season-long loan from Chelsea. The agreement includes a conditional obligation to buy, but the supplied evidence doesn't explain which conditions would activate it. That means Garnacho is a Villa player for the loan period, while Chelsea still control the permanent outcome. The move follows Morgan Rogers' transfer to Chelsea and gives Garnacho a clear chance to restart his career in a different setting. Villa can use his attacking threat now, but supporters shouldn't describe this as a permanent signing yet. The language matters because conditional clauses can turn a celebratory announcement into a negotiation later. Garnacho's task is brutally simple. Produce enough to make the conditions relevant. Villa get an immediate option, Chelsea keep a route to a sale, Garnacho gets another stage. Nobody gets certainty, Garnacho's deal keeps one foot in the future. Barcelona and Newcastle offer a cleaner market contrast. One transfer is complete, while the other is still leaning against the door waiting for paperwork. Barcelona signed Karim Adeyemi as Newcastle close in on Alhaji Bamba. Karim Adeyemi's Barcelona move is confirmed, while Alhaji Bamba's Newcastle transfer isn't complete. Barcelona have reportedly found value at around £19 million, with Adeyemi tied down until 2031. Newcastle's reported £34 million pursuit of Bamba shows ambition, but close still isn't signed. Comparing the fees without comparing the certainty would be classic transfer window mischief. Barcelona have signed Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund for around £19 million on a deal running until 2031. Adeyemi has left Borussia Dortmund, and Barcelona have secured a forward who can change the speed and profile of their attack without the fee reaching the levels dominating Premier League speculation. Newcastle United are close to signing Monaco forward Alhaji Bamba for about £34 million, but that move isn't complete. Bamba remains a Monaco player in the supplied evidence, so the next step is confirmation rather than celebration. That contrast is the useful part. Barcelona's deal is done and its long-term structure is known. Newcastle's deal is advanced but unfinished. One club has the player, the other has a target, a reported fee, and a nervous wait for signatures. Newcastle may be buying a forward, while Manchester United have produced a different kind of headline from their own pathway. Gabriel is 15, and that should make the excitement sharper, not louder. Gabriel, 15, receives first senior Manchester United call-up. A first senior call-up is significant, but it isn't a senior debut or proof of future stardom. Gabriel could feature against Rosenborg, giving Manchester United a chance to manage his exposure carefully. The attention benefits the academy, but a teenager shouldn't be asked to carry the club's rescue narrative. Excitement is fair, certainty would be careless. Manchester United teenager Gabriel, 15, has received his first senior call-up for the friendly against Rosenborg. He could make his senior debut, but the supplied evidence doesn't say that he has done so. For now, the fact is the call-up. Supporters will naturally get excited. A highly rated teenager entering the senior picture can feel like a glimpse of the future, especially at Manchester United, where academy stories carry enormous emotional weight. But friendly involvement and regular first-team football are very different steps. The smart approach is patience. Give Gabriel the environment, protect his development, and judge the football rather than the social media reaction. One squad call-up is a door opening, not a career already written. The teenager story is about protecting potential. Italy's story is about chasing certainty, and after 3 missed World Cups, the Federation has gone straight to 2 of the biggest names available. Italy hold talks with Guardiola and Ancelotti over a vacant head coach role. Italy have spoken to Pep Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti, but neither appointment is confirmed. A superstar coach could raise standards, yet a manager alone can't repair every structural problem in Italian football. Guardiola is unattached after leaving Manchester City, while Ancelotti remains Brazil manager. The 3 World Cup absence explains the scale of the search, but it doesn't guarantee a miracle. The Italian Football Federation has held talks with Pep Guardiola and Brazil manager Carlo Ancelotti about taking over the Italy national team. Neither appointment has been confirmed. Guardiola is out of work after leaving Manchester City, while Ancelotti remains Brazil manager, so these are 2 very different negotiations. Italy have failed to qualify for the last 3 World Cups, which explains why the Federation is reaching for names with enormous authority. A marquee coach could bring structure, standards, and a stronger public message, but the job won't be repaired by a press conference and a famous surname. Italian fans are right to dream, though the uncomfortable question is what happens after the appointment? If youth development, recruitment, and the wider football structure remain unresolved, even Guardiola or Ancelotti would inherit the same fire. Talks are real, the rescue plan isn't complete. Italy's coaching search shows how quickly a genuine approach can become a national argument. We finish with a live transfer headline, but the available evidence is only the headline itself, so the claims need to stay in their lane. Transfer news live. Arsenal respond to Saliba blow, Liverpool target winger, The Independent. The source identifies an Arsenal response to a Saliba blow and a Liverpool winger target, but supplies no supporting detail. A live blog labels signals developing coverage, not confirmed outcomes. Neither the Arsenal response nor the Liverpool target should be expanded into a deal without evidence. The responsible update is narrower than the dramatic headline, and that is precisely why it matters. The supplied source is an independent live transfer headline. Transfer news live. Arsenal respond to Saliba blow, Liverpool target winger. It gives us the subjects, but not enough verified detail to state what Arsenal have decided, which winger Liverpool want, or whether any transfer is close. So this one stays firmly in report watch territory. Arsenal have already completed the signing of Tzolis, but that doesn't tell us what the Saliba situation means. Liverpool may be tracking a winger, but the source package doesn't name the player or confirm an approach. That restraint can feel less exciting than inventing the missing paragraph. It is also more accurate. The market is full of headlines that arrive before the evidence, and this is one of them until the live report supplies concrete names, decisions, or negotiations. That is the transfer picture. Elliot Anderson completes a £116 million move to Manchester City, Arsenal have signed Tzolis, and several other stories remain somewhere between serious talks and polished speculation. The confirmed deals deserve analysis, while the unconfirmed ones deserve patience. In this window, the loudest number isn't always the strongest fact.